We've got Ken Okazaki with us.
I had no experience or skills or degrees in anything, but I had a family to feed. If you do have 6 kids and a wife and 0 job experience and in your mid-30s and have never run a business before, that you had more challenges than I did, then I will accept that it's too hard for you and you should give up.
Make the calls and make the moves that somebody would do that has literally nothing else to lose.
And the person that wins is the person that can explain it the best so that people can understand it and action it. That's how you become valuable.
Hey, you guys, this is Martha Krejci, your guide to building something incredible. We've got Ken Okazaki with us. He's a titan in the world of video branding and a beacon of light for professional coaches aiming to skyrocket their businesses. As the brains behind GoBox Studio and 20X Agency, Ken's mission is to arm you with all the video tools, services, and strategies that you need to carve out your space in the digital world and stand out in the crowded marketplace. So today we're peeling back the layers on how to leverage video content to not just exist online, but to dominate. Ken's here to share his roller coaster journey through entrepreneurship, the pivotal moments that defined his path, and how he turned challenges into stepping stones towards success. And hold on to your seats because Ken's also giving us a sneak peek into something that's brewing in his genius lab, a portable video studio that's going to change the game for home-based businesses, content creators, all of us. This isn't just any studio. It's your ticket to producing professional level videos that captivate and convert, all from the comfort of your own home. So grab your cup of coffee. Let's go. Also, before we went live, Ken and I were talking, and we were talking about some additional topics that we're going to pop into that you may freaking love. First of all, Ken, thank you for coming on with me. I totally appreciate this. This is awesome.
Oh, thank you so much. I love it. All the way in Texas and I'm in Tokyo and I feel like I'm sitting right next to you.
And that's so cool. Texas and Tokyo in the house. Ken and I go, I feel like way back at this point. We kind of have been,
kindergarten,
we've been
right?
Swirling around. Yeah. What's that?
Kindergarten, right?
It feels like that. It does feel like that. Like we had crayons and stuff. Yeah. First of all, before we even get into anything, we need to, so we do address GoBox Studio. Tell me about that because I got to see it at TNC a couple years ago and actually get my fingers on the buttons and stuff. When you get to push the buttons, it's something special. Tell me about that.
Yeah, this was actually something that was invented, and I'll shoot a link. And if you're watching on YouTube or listening to the podcast, there'll be a link somewhere. It's something that was invented out of necessity because my clients, and I have an agency, we take care of content creation, social media management, all the way up until setting appointments for people. But the problem they all had, or many of them, when they came to me, is they're like, I can get in front of the camera and present, but I don't know how to make all this gear work, and I've got a closet full of gear. I've got a tangle of cables and I'm just using my laptop and the little webcam there. And that's why I look like crap. So I struggled with getting on Zoom calls just like we are right now. And I'd be talking, they'd have bought everything on the shopping list. I'd help them position stuff and all that. But 9 out of 10 times they didn't get it to the level that they wanted. They just are not tech people. They're entrepreneurs, most of my clients. So one of them, brilliantly, he said, "Hey, Ken, could you just build everything into a box so I could pop it open and use it?" And I said, "No, we don't do that. We're an agency." And he's a very persuasive guy. He convinced me to create a prototype of something. I sent it over. He loved it. He then took a photo. He stuck it on social media. And this thing went viral. There was over 100,000 comments under his Instagram post. And most of them were like, "Where do I get one?" So he calls me up and he says, "Ken, I think you should make a business out of this. And I think it's going to be bigger than the business you're running right now." And I didn't think so. But right now we're in year 2 of this thing. And we're clearing, very, very well in terms of growth. And we have a lot of plans to grow this thing a lot bigger. So that's the story behind it. What is it? It's a fully featured professional studio. 3 wireless mics, studio lights, cinematic camera, a switching system, Actually, now we could have up to 3 cameras connected at once, which is pretty cool.
Oh my
So
gosh.
it's for podcasting with podcaster microphones. It's for interviewing. It's for like if you're a videographer and covering live events. It's for webinars. You could switch and mix all these different sources, like your slides and a face camera, another camera, a different angle, and it's all programmable. You just like hit a button and pre-program them to do whatever you want. So, but it's hard to understand until you see it. So you should go check out the link.
Yeah. It's so cool. It's so cool. When I got to see it, I'm like, this is crazy. Was it the person that asked you
Yeah,
to make it? Is it who I think it was?
he's very famous right now. He's really blown up since then.
Okay.
But yeah, we don't really have a licensing deal or anything for promotion, so I'd rather just not say his
I
name
get
right
it.
now.
I get it. No, I totally get it. I totally get it. I love that though. That's so cool. Um, okay, let's get into, so we want to talk about a couple of different things. We want to talk about, like, we're going to just get in the dirt and in the meta and talk about some frameworks that you use with your own people in creating video content. So we're going to talk about that. I just want to kind of give the lay of the land. So we're going to talk about that. And then we're also going to be talking about, like, for some other people, we're going to be talking about how to find video editors and how to be able to, get them what they need, like that sort of thing. And then we may even have a little bonus home studio thing at the end. So I hope you guys are ready. Buckle up, get your notebook. If you're listening in the car, just, listen to it and then listen to it again when you get home and you have your notebook, but do not grab your notebook in your car as much as you want to right now. So Ken, let me know what frameworks are you using for the video, or what frameworks are you suggesting for people to use for their video?
Yeah, really good point. So, as entrepreneurs, as business owners, as people who are there to create something that are solutions to real problems in the real world, we're so good at solving problems in our heads. A lot of us are shitty at explaining it, and even shittier at explaining it if there's a camera in our face. So I think that there's this dilemma. A lot of us are just like, well, either I'm going to script everything and memorize the lines or read them off a teleprompter, or I got to just wing it, right? And that's just like
Yep.
these are the two options. And they both kind of suck. Because if you're reading, you're in your head. It's the part of your brain that is processing, not creating, right? We want to be in the creative part, and that's what connects with the audience. And if we're just being 100% creative and winging it, then the structure just goes on for too long and we start rambling a little bit like I am right now. And so then there's got to be this in between. And that's called a
Yeah.
framework. And a framework is the idea of taking your big fluffy ideas that kind of look like a cloud, right? And if I would try to hand you a cloud right now, Martha, you'd be like, you can't quite hold it, right? You can't quite tell me the shape or the color or the weight or anything. And that's what we struggle with. So a framework is like taking that cloud, sucking it all up into a balloon, tying a knot on it and putting a string on it. And then I hand you a red balloon with a string. Now, literally, you've got a handle on it. It's got form. It's got shape. You could say, I've got a balloon. It's this big. It's this color. And I grasp it. So that's what it's like. So we're taking your ideas, putting it into a framework. And one framework that works really well and it's easy to understand, that I don't need any visuals to explain, is something called the 3 and 3. And it's called the 3 and 3. And I love putting names on them because, again, there's a handle like, the 3 and 3 framework. It's easy to understand because just like a movie, there's 3 parts to it, right? 3, some people will call it, the play, right? Some people will call it the act, 3 act. So act 1 is you start with a strong hook that tells people to stop doing something that they're currently doing and thinking it's a good thing. For example, if you're trying to help someone lose weight, you might say, you know what, stop counting your carbs. And they're like, wait a sec, I thought I'm supposed to count my carbs. It's got to be something that they think is a good thing. Now, a lot of people make the mistake of saying like, stop spending too much money on things you don't need. Well, that's an obvious thing. So that's not going to work. So it's got to be something they think is the right thing. Then act 2 is do this instead. So what's the alternative? What's the real solution? And then now we go to act 3. And this is where you tell them 3 actionable steps they can do right now. not behind a paywall, they don't have to go click a link, but you tell them exactly what to do right now to get started and give them 3 like high level view steps. That's it. So there's 3 steps in Act 3, and there's 3 acts altogether, 3 and 3. And Martha, I'd love for you to just throw me any topic right now, and I'm going to wing it and see if I could put this into this framework so it makes sense so that the audience can kind of understand what I'm talking about. Give me a topic and I'll see what we can do with it.
Community building.
Community building. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to say this. If you're building a community online for marketing, then stop inviting all your friends into your Facebook group. That totally sucks and is outdated. What you want to do instead is run targeted ads only to the ideal business owners who you can actually help. The reason you want to do that is because your friends and family are there to connect and do kumbaya together when you want to actually run business and make sales. So in order to make the shift and get started, number one, what you have to do, if you haven't done it yet, is set up a business account with an ads center. If you don't have that yet, there's a link below. I'll give that to you. It's super free. If you already know that, then if you already know how to do that, then go to step 2. Number 2 is there's a new feature on Facebook. You can actually go to the Facebook group and do promote, right? And actually, that's number 3. Number 2 is what you need to do is create a custom audience to make sure you're hitting the right people who are business owners. They're in the right country. They speak the right language, and they have money to invest with you. So get started. Don't invite your friends. Invite the people who will actually pay you money. This is an example.
Yeah.
3 and 3. So if you start using frameworks, now that's the perfect middle ground. You're not scripting. You're not winging it. You're taking your idea, compressing it into a compact framework. So that's my gift to you. Just remember 3 and 3 and you're good to go.
I love it. I also love, and for anybody listening or watching or both, I love how your voice and your cadence picks up on those videos. So like whenever you were ready to like roll, you went into another Ken persona. So you have like chill Ken, chill in the chair Ken, and then you have like the video persona where you have like the cadence of the fast and the slow and like the perfection of all of that. That was cool. I love watching
my wife laughs at me so much when I do that. She's like, that's not you. I'm just like, I don't know, maybe. This is the work me, honey. Right. It is funny though.
I love it. Well, tell us before we go into the next part of it, tell us a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey, because we like teased it a little bit at the beginning. So like, what did it look like for you to be able to get into business and get where you are now?
This can be a long story and I'm going to compress it here, but until I was in my mid 30s, I had grown up with the belief that making money, working for money, or even saving money was like a sin, because I grew up in an extremely strict religious type of upbringing, and way stricter than what you've probably ever seen. And we had no exposure to like the outside world, meaning like TV, radio, and things like that. And so when the internet was invented, this is like in the 90s, right? And we're about the same age. So, but yeah, that's when I started kind of discovering like there's this other reality other than what I grew up in. And long story short, in my 30s, I decided, you know what, this is not for me. Well, I decided a long time ago, but we're finally able to like pull out of the situation and kind of rebuild all our beliefs around everything to do with money and business. But then I had no experience or skills or degrees in anything, but I had a family to feed. I've got 6 kids, So I was looking at all my options, and I'm like, and started looking for jobs, and there was no job that could pay me enough to stay above the poverty line with 6 kids, So we're a family of 8, and I'm the sole provider here. And that's when I realized that I've got a slim chance that making a business work, even though I have 0 experience, but I've got an even slimmer chance at finding a job that is going to support us. So I went the business route and just started figuring it out from scratch. And my first business venture, after a lot of, not knowing what I'm doing, I got a events promotion company to help me to actually start my own events company in Japan. So they would be the ones brokering the speakers and, giving us the tools and the manuals for how to run large scale events. And then I was just learning as I went. And our first event, we had like 2,000 people. We do them every other month. Actually, we do events like twice a month, but the large speaker events where there's up to like 8,000 people, those would be every other month, and the smaller events in between. And that's when I kind of cut my teeth into entrepreneurship. And did I love it? I love that I was making progress and learning. And I realized quickly that that business model wasn't the right one for me. But I had to start somewhere. But that's where I started making connections. That's where I had people speaking on my stage who were world class that we hired. And I started having a relationship with these guys. And they actually were the ones who, when I pivoted and actually exited that business, I started a business that I'm in now, which is marketing and content creation for those kind of people. They became my first clients. It was a pretty easy approach. Like if you're on my stage, Martha, I'd call you up and say, "Hey, Martha, remember, back in January, you're on my stage, there were 6,000 smiling faces." "Yeah, wow, that's great. Let's do it again." I'm like, "And remember, I think we made like, $800,000 that day. Do you remember?" "Yeah, awesome." Be like, "How would you like me to help you start doing that all over the world?" And that was usually my pitch, and it worked well. And that's how I got my clients to sign on with me, because I filled those stages with video marketing. I filled those stages by making an engaging video and figuring out how to connect with the audience. So here in Japan, we did a bit of TV, we did a bit of internet, we did a bit of radio, we did a bit of everything. And again, this is me not knowing what I'm doing, just throwing spaghetti at the wall, throwing everything at the wall, not just spaghetti. I was throwing the butter, I was throwing the fry pan. Something was going to stick. So that's putting like a 5-year journey into 5 minutes there. And it's impossible to capture everything. Something that I explored in my own podcast. I'm not here to pitch my own podcast, but if you are interested to hear the backstory, where I kind of lightly touched on the very, very straight background and stuff. It is a very, very unusual upbringing. So check it out if you're interested. And but we're here to talk about how we can help your audience. So I don't want to go too deep there.
But we'll put the link to that podcast because I do want them to hear about that. Okay. If they're interested, I do want that.
Well, I will say one thing. And the reason I share this, the reason I share the story on my own podcast is I've had people come to me and say, "I'm too old. I'm not qualified. I'm not good on camera. I've never done business before. I have no money. I have no time. I've got too many kids. Like I can't take this risk because it's so." And I challenge them and I say, like, if you can tell me that you had more challenges than I did, then I will accept that it's too hard for you and you should give up. But otherwise, it is my duty to help you see the importance of taking a step to invest in yourself and actually take control of how much money you make, how much time you have, how much you can actually help clients and customers, therefore helping them to pay you. Like if you don't have 6 kids, and I mean, if you do have 6 kids and a wife and 0 job experience and in your mid 30s and have never run a business before, I think at the time I had $3,000 to my name. Like that's everything in my 30s. Wow. And like no contacts, like no references from anything in terms of work or professionalism. Like if you actually have all those challenges, then we're on, we're even. If you don't, then I think pick up your feet and start moving forward in the direction where you take control of your life. Yeah. It took me too long, but when I did, then I was in a position where there's no decision. I mean, there's no direction to go but forward, and I just moved.
That was it. And so that's and then we're going to go into like the hiring of the video folks and getting them to do what you need them to do, right? But I talk about this a lot where that's what I was in. I was 36 when I started, when I quit GoDaddy and started my own thing. And it was a rock bottom. It was when I got a video of Nora taking her first steps. We've talked about this before, but that's, I think when you when you do not and you cannot have a safety net, then you won't use it, but if you have a safety net, you will absolutely use it every time because it's a human thing to do. And so it's almost like you have to, even if you have a safety net in reality, you almost have to play head games with yourself to pretend you don't. And so you can actually make the decisions and make the calls and make the moves that somebody would do that has literally nothing else to lose. Like it's all you just have to go. And those are the people that succeed are the ones that you have to. You just have to. You've got no other choice.
I do head games all the time now, and I don't know if it's healthy, but
I know, right?
it works.
Yeah.
Like if I'm kind of slowing down in something, then man, I know that I react to fear very, very acutely. And so I will set up a scenario like if I don't get this done, then X is going to happen. I won't even go how dark I go sometimes.
Oh my goodness!
To motivate myself. Yeah. So
yeah, we don't need to. We're
going to move out of there. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll let our imaginations take over. Go ahead and put in comments what you think Ken's thinking, right? Like, what's in Ken's head? So let's talk now about the video editors. So where are you finding the editors? And this is for people that are like already at that point in their business where they're like, man, I just need an editor to actually make my life easier. So yeah, what do you do there?
Really great question. So this is really interesting. You just told me you have an agency. So that means you've probably got a team of content creators, including video editors. And if you've spent any time on Instagram, you've probably gotten a lot of DMs, people saying, hey, I can make your videos go viral. Let me edit your videos for you, right? And and for every one of those, you're going to get 5, DMs, which is like, would you like 100,000 followers for just $100? All that crap, right? So it's really hard to like sort out what's real and what's fake. Well, all the ones promising you a bunch of followers, those are all fake. So forget that. But there are some great editors. And this was, 6 years ago is when I started hiring, video editors for my company and really growing. And we've got a team of, I think we're close to 30 right now of, creatives who just serve our clients. We're doing several thousand videos every month for our clients and we manage all their social media. And it started out, believe it or not, with me. When we started the company, I was editing all the videos. I was the one who was, it's interesting right now. I'm going to show you something.
Okay.
This is sitting in front of me right now. This is, a good old tripod, but this tripod, I just realized was a part of my very, very first kit when I decided to start this company. I told you I had $3,000 spending when I started it. And I bought a camera, a tripod, and a light, and a microphone. And I was like, this is the bare bones of what I need to start a video company. Yep. And I had a old iMac. But so it was me doing everything. And I was actually, I think, naturally inclined to be pretty good at it. So I was creating stuff, the clients were loving it. And then I started hiring assistants to help me do some of the, the editing. And that was my biggest mistake. Is because I thought that because I'm good and gifted at it, that if I have an assistant, then I could do more of it. But that, all it did in hindsight was slow me down from actually running a business and being a business owner by being in this comfortable in-between space. So I was getting help, but I was not actually finding someone who was an editor who could actually make decisions and do stuff better than myself. So eventually I started learning that, hey, there is this thing called remote workers and people who would just love to be able to do what they already do well, but from home and get paid at a higher rate than the national average in their country, but about half the rate of what it would cost for me here in this country, in Japan. So I got into this and then I started hiring from overseas and it was hit and miss at first, but now we've got a system that's really dialed in. I'll just share with you like the 5 places that we source and how we do it. Okay. Yeah. So I'm going to go pretty fast here, but there's a more in-depth thing that I put up on YouTube that actually I edited. It's not up yet, but by the time this is online, it will probably be up. So the first place is, believe it or not, Instagram. And it's the thing about Instagram is there's three things you got to watch out for. Number one is that a lot of the people who put their content out there, you look at their pages, great videos, great edits, but they don't have systems in place. So you're going to get sometimes sporadic quality. So sometimes you're going to get a great video, sometimes they're rushed, it'll be less. And so that's one, right? They don't have systems. Number two, sometimes they do have systems, but they're actually an agency. So you're going to see the quality go up and down and the timelines shift because they're passing this project on from one person to another, and it's not consistent. So that's the second thing. And the third thing you got to watch out for is that a lot of people actually I won't say a lot. I've had it happen where people are stealing demo videos from others and saying it's their own. And the reason I know this is because someone hit me up. They're just like, hey, Ken, I could edit your videos. And then I said, well, show me what you've done. And there was my stuff in there, the stuff that my team had done. And I'm just like, okay, clearly you've got a problem with honesty here. So that's how I know, without a shadow of a doubt that it's happening. I wouldn't say it's happening everywhere, but I know like my eyes really opened up when that happened. So those are the three things you got to look out for. But here's what I would say. If you want to get started and link on Instagram, one of the benefits is that you could see what their work is like on their page, right? And what you do is you just go and search hashtag video editor. There's 1.5 million posts as of 2 days ago with that. And you're going to start looking for accounts where they have the word video editor in the account. And you just start scrolling. Look for videos where you like the style. And then you just have a standard DM you send them, which is going to be something to the effect of, hey, I really like your video editing style. I see you're advertising yourself as a video editor. Are you interested in doing some remote work? Simple, right? Send out like 100 of those. You're probably going to get 120 back. and then you have a simple Google form where you have them apply. And there's the application process is the same for all 5 that I'm going to go through here, which is pretty much there's a Google form where you're going to get their basic info, right? And then at the end, it redirects to a Google page, a Google Doc, where there's going to be a project brief. There's going to be an Easter egg in there. There's going to be, a specific timeline where you're going to say, hey, I need this project done by Thursday, 1 p.m., my local time. If they can't figure out how to do time conversion, that's on them. And if they're not willing to do, a 1 hour free project that's unique, like with the footage you provide them, again, disqualified.
Right.
But the rates you offer are going to be higher than what you would normally pay what they would normally be paid, because you're looking for the highest quality ones. And believe me, you'll save money this way. Don't ever lowball. Just the people who know what they're worth will ignore the lowballs. So you want to get those guys. And you're going to get like probably 10% of the people who actually will qualify based on that. Just watch the videos, the ones you like, invite them to a Zoom call as a group, because now you're going to see how the team dynamics are. Like people who just don't want to appear on video, they're going to be rough to work with because they're always going to be hiding from you. They're shy, right? And they have a different style of working. They could work for someone else. But the people who show up on a Zoom call, they're confident, they're articulate in communication. Those are the ones you want. And these are the 3 things I look for when I rate people. Is number 1, speed, how fast they get to you. I log when they tell me they're done, right? So the fastest ones, they get a higher score. The slowest ones, lower. If they missed the deadline, they're disqualified, right? Number 2 is actually, the quality of the edit. You look at it, say, do you like it? Number 1, did they follow the brief? Number 2, and this is really bonus, a lot of them, the higher quality ones, they will actually do additional research about you, and they'll put in context to the edits. Like, for example, they go to your website, a lot of them, they'll do a screen recording of scrolling through, so to kind of edify you, and they'll edit that in. Like, that's like extra points there. And the third one, and this is really important, and it can't be undervalued, and I think it's more important than the other 2, is the quality of communication with you. How well do they articulate and actually communicate with you? And I interview everybody at once. So it's 1 hour, probably get like 8 people on a call. And afterwards, I'll make a decision and I'll hire one person. And it's that simple. So so I gave you kind of like the qualification and the hiring process for Instagram. I'll go over the others real quick. I know we're almost out of time. Another really great place is Facebook groups. Facebook groups, again, go to groups and just type video editor. There'll be a ton of them. when you apply, a lot of times they're going to have you answer some questions, when you apply to join. If they ask if you're a video editor, just say yes. If you've ever edited a video on your phone with, with CapCut or whatever, you're a video editor, so you're not lying. Get in there, engage for a day or two, and then drop a post. And in the post, the thing that's going to get people to respond is how much money are you going to pay, right? So you want to do above market value. Say, hey, I've got 5 reels I need edited with potential for long-term employment. And the range is going to be on the very, very low end, $10 per video. And on the higher end, like if you want the people who do the kind of quality that my guys do, we're going to be paying like $100 per video, right? So what I'll say is I will pay 5 people $100 each per video. And I'll give out the conditions for how that works. And I will pay those guys in advance, because otherwise they're not likely to finish it. So again, same process, take them to Google Form, that redirects to a Google Doc, and then the interview. And the interview, this is important, the date has to be set from the get-go. Not like when you're done, let's schedule a meeting. No, you say, this is the deadline to have the sample project in. This is the interview appointment. And there's zero flexibility, because if they can't flex to your time to try to get the job, imagine what it's going to be like when you're trying to get some creatives done on time and they want you to flex to their time. That's just a no-go, because they're going to be your employee or contractor, right? So that's Facebook groups. Same. Remember, just apply as a video editor. Otherwise, you're not going to get let into most of them, right? Third one is Indeed. Indeed is really good. Oh, okay. So the thing I was going to say about Facebook groups is that the downside is you're going to get a lot of spam. So a lot of them are just going to keep DMing you for years and years and years. You can block them if you like, if they're disqualified. So some people just can't deal with getting hit up all the time, and I'm kind of immune to that. So that is, you've become targeted as a potential client forever now by a bunch of people. That's true. This is what happens. You can use an alternate, Facebook account if you don't want, like, since Martha, you're pretty famous, maybe you don't want to be the one there, because then that could become a thing. So, use your sister's account or something. So the Indeed is actually really good, because what Indeed is a place where people are looking for serious long-term employment. Whereas Instagram and Facebook groups, most people are agency owners or looking for short-term gigs. And you can flip those guys to become long-term, because a lot of them would rather have stability rather than, this up and down spike in revenue, right? So Indeed is good for that. Number 2, they have a good qualification process. You know that they are who they say they are, because in order to appear that, they have to have done a bunch of stuff just to get listed, right? And the third thing is that it's very good for targeting specific locations. Like, I want someone in the US with me, or I want someone in South America because they'll be in the same time zone as me. I want somebody in wherever. So unlike the other two, you can target them by age, by geographic location, by qualification. And most of them are there with the mindset that they're looking for long term. So you don't have to filter for that. I know I'm going pretty long. I feel like I'm taking over and I'm just yapping on. But so Indeed is, I think, when you want to get to the level where people are, let's just say, you're buying the package with batteries included. So they understand like some corporate structure, like the concept of HR, they understand, when your contracts, right? They understand that references from company to company really do matter. And they're trying to step up, a ladder of sorts, whether it's, one step in your company, and potentially that's going to give them a level, a title that will take them somewhere else. And what's important here is that you have your job titles really dialed in. Like, what's a probie versus a junior editor versus an editor versus a senior editor versus a lead editor versus a creative director. And if you get those titles dialed in, then someone is going to want to have on the resume, I was the lead editor at da-da-da-da-da, and these are my reviews. Or like, maybe they are an editor now, and it's like, wow, if I go there, then I have the potential to become a lead editor. And then they're going to want to know that working with you might get them to be a creative director, which will be really great on the resume. And creative director, has a certain pay range, right? So on Indeed, it's really important to tell them about the career opportunity. Job titles really do matter. And the other thing is going to be about, you got to sell the work experience. So I use my own team's testimonials, like what it's like working with me, completely unfiltered. And I send those as references, before our call. So this is the only situation where I feel like I have to sell them on working with me, because they're willing to commit a minimum of 1 year with me, potentially 5-10 years. So it's a bit more of a relationship building than the other ones. And I've picked up some really good people from there. Now the last one, this one's my favorite. Did I do 4? Oh, no, sorry. I've got 2 more. Private hiring agencies. Now, these guys get paid on commission. And it's typically going to be, like, if it's someone in the US you're hiring, it's going to be like a month and a half of salary or contract base. So if it's someone in the US, it's going to be somewhere between $2,000 and $8,000, depending on the role you're looking for. So like kind of part-time or beginner level video editor would be about $2,000. If you're looking for someone that's already had, a bit of experience, then I think we've gone up to 10,000 actually. Yeah. For some really qualified people. But what's going to happen now is you get a much lower volume of applicants, but much more highly qualified. Provided you trust this agent that's going out and scouting people. They cost more, but if you want to only interview the highly potentials and save yourself a bunch of time, then they could be worth it. And I've done this with about 4 of my team. And specifically, I've got people who are based in the States who I really wanted to be the client-facing kind of team.
Yeah,
and
right.
Be able to assimilate like these kind of complex ideas and put them into creative, outputs. And the very last one, so that was number 4. Number 5 is going to be onlinejobs.ph. So there's 21 million work from home people in Philippines for like full-time work from home. 21 million. Yeah. And they're in a position where their comprehension of English is, I think, better than like India and Pakistan in my experience. Mm-hmm. And their culture is very hardworking and loyal. And you're able to pay them at a rate where they're getting higher than national average, where you're paying something that's a little bit less than in the US would be minimum wage. Some people would criticize that. I think that I'm helping support a whole lot of families there, and they're doing what they love. Like a lot of them have quit other jobs where they didn't love it. They had to commute. They're away from their kids, and now they're at home. They love doing what they do. They have a community that they love being a part of.
And family is very important to them, right? So like that's go ahead, sorry.
So that is where I found probably at least half of my team has come from there. So those are the 5 places. And there's really just no, I think there's going to be more, but those are the 5 I've used like repeatedly, and they work just depending on what I'm looking for and what situation I'm in. So I think that if you are scaling up, then you should hire editor. You shouldn't be editing your own videos like I did for way too long. And you need to get out of your head that you're the one who does it best, because I made that mistake so that you don't have to.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love it. Man, that was gold. It was such gold. Well, thank you for coming on. I know you've got something you need to pop over to. We're also going to put in the show notes and in the caption, depending on where this is. We're also going to put your home studio video, like on setting up a home studio. I think that is boss. I saw you doing it, and you're really good at what you do. So I want to share that also. Ken, just thank you for coming on. You just gave us so much great, meaty, real good information. I just appreciate all of that. And we had, guys, I don't know if you're going to notice this on post edit, but we had some crazy stuff happening in the middle of this thing. We were getting like shot out of our
twice, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. But But anyway, for those of you listening, if you want to know more about Ken, I'm going to have all of his links, all of his info and show notes and caption. If you want to know more about me and what's going on with, our world over here, my students call it the Marthaverse, right? It's crazy. But you can just go to withmartha.com. All my links are going to be there as well. Anything that you want to, bebop around. But yeah, Ken, thanks so much for coming and just dropping some bombs on us.
Martha, thank you so much for reconnecting. I enjoyed this. And you did say, how, well, the reason I'm so cool about giving away any information, literally, I'm about to make a whole, series for free on YouTube about how I run my team, how I acquire clients, how I hire people, how I fire people, how I manage performance. And I used to be under the impression that these are trade secrets. This is my edge. And I think now I've completely shifted to my edge is that I'm going to be the person that best explains how to do this, because that's how I'm going to stand out, not by the person who knows how to do it and keeps it a secret. I think that information, nobody has information that's actually uniquely yours that is not available somewhere else online for free. And the person that wins is the person that can explain it the best so that people can understand it and action it. And that's how you create value. That's how you become valuable in the world today on social media.
Boom. Last gold nugget just dropped. Awesome. Guys, we will see you next time, hear you next time, all of that stuff. Thanks again, Ken, and we'll see you later.